How is it going, guys? Welcome, 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 welcome. As you can see, this is the big surprise. We're down in the train room. I finally got everything moved, so it's been pretty crazy. Sorry, at the start there, we had some craziness going on. I was busy talking to Mark and Chris there, and for some reason the stream said it was going to start in like 4 hours, and I put on there 6:45 for this new thing, however it works. But anyways, I got the stream going, and then I forgot to hit go live on YouTube until about a minute before. So I was like, where is everybody here? This is weird. And all of a sudden, boom, there we go. So there we go, everybody's coming in. We're here, we're doing good. I guess I'm a little rusty, right? I haven't been on here in a while. So first of all, let's do a little bit of homework. Let's go through the live streams, the main ones that I know of anyways. So Monday night, if you go check out Nate at the Tyodotton Valley and Coal Company, he's got Narrow Minded Monday. Nate's a really good narrow gauge guy. He's also a DCC dealer, deals soundtracks, and we are actually talking a little bit last night on my update video about soundtracks because I ordered the WoW sound. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Tuesday nights, of course, we have On Track Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we have Dave Thurber on the Crooked River and Eastern. Wednesday night, as you guys all know, Sparky 107 with his live chat. And isn't his layout coming along? Man, I think Sparky puts all of us to shame. He really does. He's done, he built an entire friggin' shed with a layout by the time I even just got this little section done. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Hey Sparky. So Sparky's asked about A&W. I'll talk about that in a bit too. I might be going there tomorrow, Sparky. We're not 100% yet. We're waiting for some tiles to come in. As we know, with shipping and everything right now, it's all crazy. So Anthony, Georgia Sunbelt, saying it's lagging about 5 seconds between his iPad and the TV. And that, you know what's funny? So the guys at the start were watching. I was asking them how it was and everything, and I went on my my phone here on my channel, and it wasn't even showing on my phone. So I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I still haven't figured out this new thing. So as you can see, I'm kind of looking up in the air. My screens are up higher now. We're at a new desk and we're down here. So anyways, so that's Sparky. Thursday, I believe we still have Hot Rod Rodney going. If anybody wants to let me know in here, I believe he's still doing his live stream. I used to tune into it quite a bit. I haven't been on there in a long time, but as far as I know, he's still doing it. Friday, of course. Oh, sorry, Thursday. I also wanted to mention my buddy Chris Ward and Mark from M&M Rails. They do Go Via or Go Home After Dark, and that's also on Thursdays. It's the last Thursday of the month. So that's next Thursday. I believe it's at 8 p.m. If I think Mark was on here. Well, he was earlier. We were talking. So if he's on here still, he could confirm that it's next Thursday at 8, the 30th. And then Friday, of course, BNF 6951. Good old Vinny, ladies and gentlemen, still going Friday nights. And Saturday, we have Back on Track. Now, the Back on Track gang, and I wanted to talk about also Schuylkill Hill Valley Railroad, their new show. I'm loving that. I think that's pretty cool. And I tuned in a little bit for the one that showed or had Wilmer on there. I thought that was pretty cool. I love how they do that. It's almost like the news in the community going on all around. So it's pretty neat. So let's go on into the chat. Say hello. All right. So Georgia Sunbelt, that's Anthony. How you doing, sir? Wilmer, you made it in. Good to see you, sir. And really nice video yesterday. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Melvin, nice to see you and welcome. Dwight, good to see you. We got Dwayne from the Fork and Spoon Railroad. How you doing, sir? Humanity Junction, I'm going to talk about you in a little bit too. Well, I'll talk about you right now as well. So the shout out I did on the show, you saw it. Sorry that I didn't put the junction part in. As I was recording the video, I forgot about the junction, and once I had it all rendered, I forgot to. I didn't want to go back, but it's in the description. It's Humanity Junction, folks. Great channel. There's John, Schoolhill Valley. John, if you want to do a little shout out to your show that you're doing, that I was just talking about, that'd be cool on here on the chat. All right, and Sparky's in here. Community Roundhouse, that's what it is. I think that is so cool. And you guys premiere it basically on different people's channels, right? Because the one I saw, I think it was on Vinny's channel, if I remember right. So it's pretty cool how they came up with that. There's Inked Rails. Hello, sir. Welcome. And Nathan DeLay, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. There's Kyle Stevens. Hello, Jeff Allen. I haven't seen you in a long time. How you keeping, man? So Jeff Allen's a local guy. He's actually close to me from where I live. And there's Vinny himself. Vinny, we were just talking about you. All right, I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but there's Davian SF and Skill. How you doing, sir? All right. So we're back. We've done that. First of all, I just wanted to give a little mention to Steve Brown. It's my railroad. I saw a message on YouTube from his wife. Apparently something's happened with a friend or something of Steve's with the whole COVID thing, and so he's down and out and will not be uploaded. And if they were apologizing, which I think is crazy to apologize for not getting videos out, as you know, I'm the worst for it. So I just wanted a little shout out to Steve Brown for Miss My Railroad. I hope everything's okay. We're all thinking of you. Next, okay, I wanted to talk about, on a more positive note, let's talk about Willmar, folks. What do you guys think? Indian Head Valley Railroad. So first of all, Willmar, I wanted to just say thanks for the shout out, for shouting out tonight's show on your show yesterday. I really appreciated that. But something else I wanted to bring to everybody's attention is the Indian Head Valley Railroad Facebook group. You guys gotta go and check that out if you haven't been on there. Now, another person that has one is Crooked River and Eastern, and there's Roy Smith. But I've been on Willmar's a lot. I'm a moderator on there, and I've been enjoying uploading my videos from my progress, or my photographs, sorry, onto his Facebook group. And then what he does, he normally features it on his show, which he releases on Mondays. So yeah, I just wanted to do a little shout out to Willmar again. What an awesome guy, right? Everybody loves Willmar. Uncle Willmar, they're calling him, obviously for good reason. So yeah, anyways, for you, Willmar, my friend. All right, so let's get into it. So tonight I was just talking about surviving and basically everything that's going on right now. And I know we're not really going to talk about the whole, everybody's calling it the showstopper. And I know it's not funny. I'm not making fun of it, but I'm actually thinking of it more as the show creator, because oh my goodness, it's well, look at my channel and look at a lot of other people. They're getting all kinds of stuff out with the extra time. So Vinny just asked what brand of microphone is. This is the New Ear one, Vinny. It's a really cheap one off of Amazon. Sorry, Neewer, Neewer. And I've talked about this microphone before. I think I got it for like 35 bucks. It came with this mic stand and everything. And the mic stand moves. It comes with a shock absorber. Great deal. The only problem is you have to have a USB interface with 48 volt phantom power, which mine has that. So as long as you have that, you're good to go. But it should, your interface will say right on it if you have it or not. If not, they have other microphones where you don't need the 48 volt phantom. So anyways, back to just basically I called this show Surviving, and it's a really good theme, I think, for what's happening right now, because us, as you can see, and as you've probably seen by my videos, I've been getting a lot of stuff done on the railroad, and been doing more. Now here's the funny thing. I'm going to show you guys around a little bit. Inked Rails said Hey Benny, what vehicles do you plan on using on your layout? Do you mean HO scale vehicles? Um, I have a few of the city, what do you call it, metal classics? A few of those, but a lot of the ones you see in my pictures are just cheap, lifelike ones. I actually have a couple right here. Uh, right here, like here's one. Now I haven't done anything with these, but you used to be able to get these in packages for super cheap. Right there. And I don't know. I haven't done any weathering or touched any of my vehicles. So that's something I would like to get around to eventually. But I think if you painted these up a little bit and added a little bit, just a light dusting, I think they'd be really nice. I like them. They're cheap. Another one I'm seeing a lot on Facebook for vehicles is Sylvan Scale Models. They've really got away from the rolling stock, and they're pushing more the vehicles, which they have a really good assortment. So if you're into old trucks and stuff and you're looking for old trailers for trucks and different kind of stake beds and all kinds of vehicles, they've got all kinds. The only thing I'll say about Sylvan is I've done a few of their kits, and their kits are extremely difficult. And I'm not even going to lie about that. They're the hardest kits I've ever done. They need to be washed because of the resin that's on them, and they're just very finicky. You have to use super glue because it's a weird kind of resin that they use. But anyways, this from what I've seen from the pictures of the vehicles that people are building on Facebook groups, they look beautiful. So I would like to try that. Dave, BNSF N scale, you're saying you forgot your brother Vinny? I'm not sure what that means, but I did say hi to Vinny. So I'm not sure if that was to me or somebody else on there. I get confused sometimes when I'm yapping and then I look over at the chat. So anyways, yeah, so we're just talking about stuff going on. And okay, so I know what I was going to do. I got off track there. I said it again, off track. We're on track. So let's just go over here. So it's too bad, but right here, I'm embarrassed to say, let's see. There. This is where the helix is going in, if you guys remember from other shows. Now here's the funny part. I actually ordered material. Now, I feel kind of bad for ordering material for my trains because we're not supposed to be going out and stuff and doing this and that. But I needed, it was material for the house as well. I kind of put it all in one. But I ordered it, but they're so behind that they haven't given me the confirmation email to come and pick it up. So I don't know what's going on with that. I was hoping to have at least the framing going in the first level because I need a lot more track anyways. But it would have helped with my operations that I'm doing now, just having that extra little bit of room to stage a train. But that's okay. All right, so Vinny's saying it was to Mike, Benny. That's funny. So I'm bad for that. I jump over to the chat and then I get sidetracked, and it's hard to find affordable modern vehicles. Dave, that's true. Modern HO scale vehicles, I can totally see that. And I don't know where to help you out. I know like the one I saw with the City Classics or whatever they're called, they do make modern ones, but they are expensive. They're about $25 a piece, if I remember correctly. Okay, Inked Rails has asked, have you thought about shapeways for vehicles? No. Now there is one, okay, so there's a couple things I've ordered from Shapeways, and I did a video on it actually. Shapeways is hit and miss, I find. There's some things I've got on there that I've really liked, and there's some things I've got on there that I haven't really liked. The detail can be kind of all over the place. Now the Steam engine that I'm going to reveal to you guys, hopefully sooner than later, if that decoder comes, it's got a cab from Shapeways, and the smokestack and the dynamo are by Shapeways, and they turned out great. And my switch stands are by Shapeways. So the vehicles, I haven't thought of that, and I haven't even looked into them. But one thing I wanted to do on my layout, just to my right, to your left, I really want to honor the farming community of Chesley because that's a huge part of the area. So I want to do an old, basically a field, and because I am doing the fall and we are focusing on grain movement, I want to have basically some kind of old. I'm thinking like a horse-drawn grain cutter, whatever you call it, and then an old, not a combine. I forget what they call it. If anybody knows. But I found one on Shapeways, and it looks amazing. When people paint it up nice, it looks really good. It's basically shoot, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically before the combine. So now today a combine cuts the grain and separates it and puts everything out. Back in the day, they'd have to cut the grain separately, a lot of the time by hand, load it onto a wagon, bring it on over, and whatever, some kind of separating machine that they would use. And it's this big monster thing that would run off a belt on the pulley on a lot of times a steam tractor. And then I've got some old Massey Ferguson models that have that wheel. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool feature. So that is one vehicle I was looking at. To Go Veer Go Home said, you just have to drill out the 2 rivets that hold it together and then light up a Hot Wheels. So that was from Sparky to Go Veer Go Home, Chris Ward. So yeah, Chris is asking, is it possible to light up Hot Wheels? And I've looked into die cast, and that's the funny thing. If you guys go on YouTube, there's a lot of people that work with die cast, and that's kind of how this scratch built engine started, to be completely honest. It was an old Varney, which is a die cast boiler. But by the time I started researching it and looking into cutting die cast and grinding it and getting it smooth, I decided, you know what, screw that, I'm going from scratch. And that's how that happened. So people do specialize on that, redoing Hot Wheels and stuff, but you do have to remember the Hot Wheels are slightly out of scale, and I'm normally not a nitpicker on that, but they do look big in my opinion. Apparently they're between HO and S. I can't remember. I've heard it comes up a lot on Facebook asking about Hot Wheels and the scale. Apparently the old Matchbox, they were a true S scale, but Hot Wheels are somewhere in between. All right. So everybody's on here. So Indian Head Wilmer saying, Mike Buddy Resin Cast, he says it's not that hard and he does a nice job. Sweet, Wilmer. So Resin Cast, that's basically, from what I remember, that's what the Sylvan Scale kits are. Now Chris Ward, Go Veer Go Home, he's on here. He featured, he had a friend on his show that had the Rapido Point St. Charles caboose, all lit up and everything. So back in the day when I first got into modeling, the only Point St. Charles you can get was that Sylvan kit. And I have, when you watch my videos, you can see it in the background behind me. It was really difficult to do, and I didn't do a great job on it. It's fine to get by, and I did it when I was a kid. But yeah, I've just had a lot of trouble with the Sylvan kits. They're pretty difficult. So James, welcome, James Galton. I don't think I've seen you on before. You're saying we had snow today. Whereabouts are you, my friend? We actually had snow today as well. Yeah, it was kind of crappy today. It was really windy and really cold. Alex just came in. He's saying, hi, sorry I'm late. There's no need to be sorry, my friend. I'm happy that you joined us. It's awesome. To be honest, I was a little worried at the start before a lot of you guys came in. I was about 1 minute to start the intro, and I'm looking and we got 6 people in here, and something weird happened at the start, and it turned out I didn't hit the go live button. I'm a little new to this thing. So that kind of brings me back into what we're talking about, and the last live stream, why I missed it. Oh, you're Dundas. Nice. Okay, cool, James. I didn't even know. Snow in Ohio. I had Ron on Instagram, and he was Container Man, Container Man 68, and he I don't know where he was, but there was crazy snow. That was last week, I believe. I was really surprised with that because I thought he was somewhere down in the States, but who knows when he's doing his trucking. William, how you doing? Welcome. And there's Randy. Yeah, Randy and I live close to each other, so yeah, we both got to experience that today. So anyways, what I was going to talk about was the last live show. So there was a comment on there. Roy from Panama. How are you, sir? I'm guessing you don't have any snow down there. Lucky man. But anyways, Inked Rails. I'll get to that question in 1 second. Yeah, the last show, a question came on there. Well, if you're off, how are you not doing your videos and your live stream? So what happened that very day? So as you guys know, I'm in construction, and I started a new job recently, and I'm working in malls a lot. And we do a lot of restaurants and stuff like that. So a lot of retail stuff. So that day, that Tuesday of a month ago, basically the mall's stores started shutting down. So our company freaked out. What are we gonna do here, right? Like, what's going on? So I was at my desk upstairs and I was getting everything ready, and the phone was just going nuts because I'm supposed to kind of oversee all the sites, but I'm still new, so still trying to figure it all out. But the emails were going nuts, and I said, I can't do this tonight. This is insane. Like, we don't even know if we're gonna have jobs, right? So that's what happened. Now, what's happening right now, I've been very lucky. My company's basically kept me on kind of part-time. And construction's very confusing right now because it's really borderline of what's essential and what isn't. And a lot of our stuff right now isn't essential. So it's just, it's a crazy time. Our family's blessed because my wife, Mel, she's still working. So that's really good. She's in publishing. I think I told you guys that before. So she's been busy with publishing because she's in the basically the education sector, and everybody's going online, and she does a lot of that already. So of course all the schools now want to go online. So it's worked out that way, but it's been hard because we have the little one at home and she's alone with her. So yeah. So James, are you laid off? If you don't mind me asking, and are you making out okay with EI and stuff? Or because that's the credit, a lot of our guys had to get laid off, and a lot of them haven't got their EI. And my issue was, as you know, I was self-employed before. I've only been working for these guys for about 3 months now, so I don't really qualify for EI. So it's pretty crazy. So I'm hoping we get back to normal, but I mean, there's still it's still up there, and they say it's flatlining, but there's a lot of it I don't understand, and a lot of it I don't get. Like, to me, in my opinion, and maybe I'm a bad person for saying this, but when it was going up, well, yeah, it was going up because they're testing more people, so of course it was going to go up. So I just can't see how it's accurate. In Ontario, the testing's been horrible. They haven't been keeping up with it. So anyways, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Yeah. Roy's saying, I've been home for years. I'm retired. That's awesome. Inked Rails asked a little bit ago if I'm using rock castings, and yeah, I am. Let's see. Because I had some, here's a couple right here. Ooh, regarding me. That's just by chance. But here's a little one. So what I'll do, I'll basically make a whole bunch, and then I'll put them aside and fill them in. Because that section over here, that's going this way, that'll be all, just kind of rocks and low hills, and then it'll disappear into the helix. And the helix is... in front of the helix is still going to be scenic, so it's going to be interesting. I talked about it on the one show. I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it, and then I literally woke up one morning and I had it. I know what I'm doing now, and I think it's going to be pretty cool if I have enough room. And it's going to be a little tight, but I think we're okay. It's PDR engineer saying they're accelerating a lot of construction in Florida. Yeah, isn't that it's funny. Here everything was shut down, and now it seems like road construction sort of starting. Um, my stepbrother, he's a roofer, and they're allowed to do. How does that work? They can do new builds that are already ongoing, but they're only allowed to do emergency repairs. So if somebody's roof is leaking, they can go and do that. But that's about it. Nora, did I say hi to you? I think I did, but I wasn't sure. I did see you. It's good to see you. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Anyways, yeah, we'll go back in here. Dave, BNSFN skill saying morality rate less than some flu variant. Yeah, and that's 100% true. So I don't, I don't know what else to say to it. But the problem is, like here, close to where I live, just north of me, in a little town called Bobcaygeon, there was an old age home, and I believe it was about 20 people passed away. So, yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's, well, not kind of, it's really sad, and it's crazy. And it's just crazy when I'm going out and I go into a place and everybody's like so far apart and everything. But I mean, that's how it goes. Thanks, Nora. It's good to see you too, my friend. And Vinny, you said give you an email, ask me a few questions. Sure, Vinny, no problem. That's it. I'm really bad for checking into that email. I'm always on my. I've got about 3 emails, and I'm never on my Creative Rails one. I'm really bad with that. So something else I wanted to do was go over a few of the videos that I recently did, because there's a few questions and they were good ones, and I wanted to bring those up. So one here was from Nathan DeLay. And everybody knows Nathan. I love Nathan. He's friggin' awesome. Okay, here it was. Can you use drywall for sidewalks and roads and to carve into bricks and to make buildings and some concrete holders for train signals? Okay, so this came from the video where I was talking about scratch building materials and budget stuff, foam core and stuff like that, and thinking outside of the box car, right? So Nathan's asking about drywall. So in my opinion, Nathan, I've never tried it. I've never seen it done. There's one problem with drywall, and that is the paper. So I think what you'd want to do is get that paper off. So one thing we do these things called California patches in the industry, where you basically tear the paper off the back and stick it on. But to get that paper off down to the gypsum, it's really, really, really difficult. And that's where you want to get, I believe, is to get to that gypsum. You'd probably have to wet it. So New Ferris on here is saying, yes, you can, Nathan. So that's interesting. So this is going to start a good conversation here, because I'm thinking it would be difficult. New Ferris, if you want to elaborate on that, because you're saying, yes, you can. Because I'm just wondering, in my opinion, once you start getting drywall apart, I have some bunch of drywall right here, actually. We could get some and try it. But I would think it would be brittle. It doesn't have a really good tensile strength, which means it doesn't hold together very well. And that's what the paper does, is holds it together. Another thing I thought could be a problem with it is a lot of the time there's little bits of fiberglass in it to also help give it strength, and that can be irritating. So like I said when I answered on the video, give it a try. I'd be interested to see what happens with that. But that's my opinion. I think it would be a pain. You basically have to get the paper off somehow, which I don't know how you do without water, and then I think it'd be crumbly. Now, New Ferris is saying sheetrock mud. Okay, and now that's different from drywall. So sheetrock mud. Now, there's different varieties. I would say sheetrock mud, your very basic mud in the box, your ultralight and stuff. Here we have CGC. There's different brands, but basically the red box is normally the same all over the place. That stuff tends to shrink and crack, and it doesn't hold together. But if you do want to try something that I've heard of one guy, a few people doing it, that does hold together, and it's really good for roads and sidewalks and stuff, is sheetrock 20 and sheetrock 45 and stuff like that. That stuff, it has more body and it's more closer to a plaster of Paris, and it will hold up and hold its shape, and it doesn't shrink and crack. Another one on my old layout that you guys have seen pictures of the Willow Falls sub, those roads were done with spackling. That pink DAP stuff, if you've ever seen it, it goes on pink and it dries white. That was all done with that, and it worked out pretty good. Held up really good. Basically, it was a cardboard base, and then I went over it with a knife and did that. On here, the dirt roads are mainly plaster of Paris and then grout. And I'm moving more to the grout, just doing different methods with that. And then my my pavement and stuff, that's plaster of Paris. So, and the concrete that you can see, if you can see it kind of in here, you probably can't really see too well from there, but you guys have seen it on the videos. That's all plaster of Paris. And I like plaster of Paris, just like with the rock castings. I like it because it takes stains well. I like staining that kind of thing rather than painting it. So that's something too we should have talked about on another video, is when we're coloring, staining versus painting. For rocks and stuff like that, I like the stainings, but you got to make sure everything's uniform, because the stain will show. I've made that mistake before. I used a different material. On my very first layout, I used rock castings, and then I used a different plaster to fill in, and when it got stained with the dyes from Woodland Scenics, it showed. Now you can disguise all that and everything, but I wasn't too happy with that. Sparky's saying DAP, plaster of Paris, works great. That's what I got, sir. I got a thing right down here. I'm not going to jump down and grab it, but that thing is awesome. Now, something that's funny, when I was making my own Sculptamold, and John's got it, John right there, Skull Hill River Valley, he's got a good video on Sculptamold. I used a different material that I'll show you guys another time. But I found that same brand, Sparky, of the DAP plaster of Paris in bags, like a sheetrock 20 size bag at Home Depot, and it was a good price. I mean, I did all of this back here and work like Millie's diorama, that dinosaur diorama. That was all done on there, and but now they're not selling it anymore. It's hard to find, so you got to buy the milk carton size ones, which is still good too. It's a decent price. Go over here, go home. See, there's also the delay I forget about, guys, so I apologize for that as well. There's a bit of delay, so sometimes you guys say things after or before. To me, I can't remember. Anyways, Chris is saying Sculptamold. Now, I've never used real Sculptamold, and that's the funny thing. I'm a huge Dave Ferrari fan. I have his books. I've read them. I've always loved that guy since I was a kid. Like, loved his articles and everything, and he's the one that introduced me through his articles and books to Sculptamold, but I never tried it until the diorama and this layout here. But of course I'm using the homemade version of Sculptamold, and I'm not going to talk about it now because it was a guy that I found on YouTube that had the recipe, and I've never seen it before, and it's different than Skull Hills. It's very similar. Or sorry, Schuylkill, right? Is that how you say? I always screw that. Schuylkill, River Valley. It's a little bit different than his, but very similar. So, what were we saying? Oh, there's Grandpa Rails, John Dilly, how are ya? Welcome, and Redbird Tony made it in. Redbird, I did a little shout out to you last night on my mail call shoutouts and updates video. If you saw it, I hope you liked it. I just think you deserve a lot more than what you get. Your videos are awesome. Your railroad's amazing. It's really coming together. And as you know, as you can see here, I love hand-painted backdrops. I'm a huge fan of that. And man, you nailed it. And it's funny, because I watched that video you did. And you made it look so easy. And here's the funny thing. It's what I was talking about before. I'm trying to capture with this. It's capturing the essence. It's capturing that vibe. It's catching... You know, the French say with wine, they call it the terroir. It's like the life force of the soil and the earth. That's what I'm trying to capture with this, with the buildings, and I'm trying to make it look kind of gritty, kind of like some of the, trying to think of some of the famous railroads that I like. But anyways, you're really getting that with those backdrops. Now with the buildings going out front and everything, man, it's looking so cool. It's so funny how, and it happened, like I do stuff and it's like, oh man, but then when everything starts coming together, it's like, oh, this is actually looking pretty cool. And it's exciting. So I'm really excited about your railroad. It's looking really great. All right, so Nathan just said, it might be off topic, but I put glue on the layout and then I put sand where the glue is, and then when the glue dries, I painted either road, color, or grass, give it a texture. And then I put, yeah, that's awesome, Nathan. That's kind of what I did here. So I made up a, kind of like it was kind of a half wash and half paint. It was thicker than a wash, but it was just kind of to dye the Sculptamold. But it was enough to go that I could bring it around the rocks because I didn't want to paint the rocks. I stained the rocks. Anyways, sorry, I'm reading questions and I'm getting off topic here. But anyways, okay, so yeah, when it's still wet, then what I do is I sprinkle on grout. And that's kind of what that is. And then grout, and then I kind of do everything all at once. Then I kind of do a Luke Talon style. I don't spray it. Spraying's never worked for me. I use a little medicine dropper with alcohol and then my glue mixture, and that's how I do it. Why Are You Naked saying, do you mean ground goop or Sculptamold? And I mean Sculptamold. I did a ground goop on. Where is that? Because that car is here somewhere. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to be right here. All right, this car right here, this one right here that you have seen, this had kind of a ground goop in it. You can't really see it, but you'll have to look at the photos. I cut up some paint brushes and put it in there, and that basically had a ground goop on there. So ground goop is more, what would you call it? Why Are You Naked? Like, it's kind of like, there's different recipes for it. A lot of people use, what's it called, vermiculite and peat moss and stuff, and they mix glue and paint and peat moss and stuff like that and dirts, and it's kind of a goop that you put on. So that's a little bit different than Sculptamold. Sculptamold's more of a plaster, and basically you just need plaster of Paris and a kind of shredded paper to mix it all up, and that's Sculptamold. And you can color it, but I just do it white, but that's Sculptamold. So yeah, that's what I mean is Sculptamold. It is different. Humanity is asking, what live streaming software are you using? I use OBS. And it's one of those things, it works pretty good. I got it going, and I've been happy with it. I did an update once, and it screwed everything up. It kind of changed all my settings. And I find if I keep at it, though, it's kind of the railroad, too. And, like, Humanity, you're into Digikais, and you're into JMRI, as I am. And I find I just got JMRI going, and I'm rusty. JMRI is a difficult program. I find it's not like a normal software. I have little problems with it, and I find if I don't use it, I'm rusty. So since I've moved down here, I got the JMRI running. I got my wireless throttles going. So Humanity, I'm going to talk about you also. So for that, and also you're in my questions. So let's go. I can't remember if I had you next or not. Let's see here. Yeah, it was you, Humanity. So we'll bring you up. And I think this is actually where Humanity and I kind of found each other, was this comment here. And this was on the tortoise switch motor video. But you asked another question, Humanity, on my channel, and it was about the Amazon tablet, an update. I hadn't given an update yet on that because I ran into problems with not only the tablet, but everything. And what has happened, I was using that Lens RT drive, which was great. It's a cool looking app. But I ended up having runaway trains. I had horns locking on, functions locking on, throttling off and trains still going. You'd throttle down to like notch 1. Then you go to notch 0 and it'd stay at notch 1. All kinds of problems. So I'm like, oh my goodness, is this my DCC system? Is this Amazon tablet that I've been promoting? Is it, you know what I mean? Is it the what? What is it? You know, it was horrible. So I wrote to the people from the app and they never fixed anything for me. They basically said, oh, it's your tablet, this and that. Well, here's the problem. It was happening on my Samsung Galaxy phone, it was happening on the Samsung Galaxy tablet, and it was happening on the Amazon Fire. So I was waiting to release more information on it. Now that I'm down here running JMRI and running the JMRI engine driver through all of them, including the Amazon Fire, incredible, absolutely perfect so far. So I'm going to do a little bit more testing before I release it. But on my end, I've been having great success with it, and I'm really happy with it. With JMRI, that app I don't recommend because it's all 3 of my devices, and my Samsung phone is the best out of all of them. It's snappy, it's crisp. I watch YouTube on it. I'm on Facebook. Like I'm asking a lot out of that phone. So both the older Samsung tablet and the Fire 7. They're just doing this stuff's fine. The only thing I find about them is you just notice a little bit of slowness when you upload YouTube or something, or when you want to go to a different app. It just takes it. Just when you're used to a really crisp, snappy phone, those ones, just the processing speed's a little bit slower. But as far as running trains and stuff, it's great, and it still works. As soon as you get YouTube going, YouTube, my daughter plays games on it. So yeah, I've been happy with the products, with the tablets, not the Lens RT Drive app. I do not recommend it. Give it a try if you want. You've already got the Digikai, so try it with it. It does work. It's compatible. But I'm not a big fan so far. I don't know. All they said back is your stuff's not compatible. Well, that's 3 different, types of a phone and 2 tablets that don't work. So I mean, what would that, like Samsung's like, what a number 1 Android. So I don't know. Anyways, let's go to, you had a cool question. I liked it on that video, and I was wondering how you knew about Robertson screw bits, and then you mentioned the construction industry, and I thought this would be a fun little story to tell. So Robertson, as me being, and you said other people were saying how Robertson's hard to find. Well, it's hard to find in the States. And the reason is it actually goes back to Henry Ford. Now, here's the funny thing. I did some research on it. The Robertson bit, Canadians call the Robertson screw, the Robertson bit, the Canadian screw. But here's where things get funny. You ready, my Canadian friends? You ready to be sad? The square-headed screw was actually an American invention. It was Robertson who patented it. So that's the difference. So then what happened was, as a Canadian growing up, you learn that, Henry Ford, he didn't like Canada, so he didn't use it in his factory. That's not what happened. Henry Ford wanted to share the patent with Robertson to make his own dies and whatnot, and machinery to make his own Robertson head screws to use on his cars. Robertson said, no way, you're not doing that. So Henry Ford went to Phillips. Phillips said, yep, absolutely, go ahead. And boom, rest is history. That's why Phillips is so popular in America, and Robertson is popular in Canada. That's the real story. So yeah, I thought that'd be cool to share tonight. So that was that question from humanity. And you asked like how I know about it. Well, because I'm in construction, as you guys all know. I've done that. We still use Phillips a lot. All our drywall screws are Phillips. I don't know exactly why. In my opinion, if Phillips holds mud better. wouldn't crack as much, but who knows? I'm just making that up. I don't know if that's for real or not. And the last one was Flying Crow, and I thought this is a good question too. So he's the one that also said about Robertson Head in the U.S., but he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Flying Crow. This was not the one." Oh no, it is. Great story. Are you using one machine for the crossover, or two? And what I think he meant was he's talking about this switch panel. Now it's hard to see. I'm just going to kind of hold the camera here. Right here, if you guys can see, there's basically a crossover. And that brings you down into this front part of the layout, into this industry area. So what I did, it's actually two switches and two machines. And I think what he means is a lot of people, when they would have two turnouts like that to do a route, they'd use one switch to make both align for that route. There's two reasons why I didn't do that, and I went with two machines and two switches. Basically, that's not really, what would you call it? It acts more of a siding, and it's a way to get into the siding, but there's actually industries on that route. So the reason why I did that, number one, I wanted to have more of a hands-on tactile feel. So I would like the operator to switch each turnout rather than doing macros and stuff and, boom, there's a route. I want it to be more, here in Chesley, you'd have to get out and throw it by hand. Here, I want you to throw it by hand with the turnout. I was going to do hand thrown turnouts on the railroad, but they tend to get broken. I did that on my last one, and they just break too easy. So I went with, the other way of doing it, and that's this. A lot of people do the spring method. I like that too, but I did it like this. I like this. I'm going to have lighted switch stands, all that, blah, blah. The other reason for it is that comes off of the main line. So if you went through a route and you wanted to do, if you had, let's say, the wave rate switching and 175 was coming through, if you went to do that route to get into the industries, well, you're going to throw that turnout underneath the train and derail the train. So that's why they're separate. I thought that was a really good question, and thanks, Flying Crow, for asking that. All right, so let's go back into the chat. All right, there's Ralph. How are you, sir? I haven't seen you for a while on here, my friend. I think I saw you on Sparky's a couple weeks ago when I was on there. So you're doing good, doing good. Everybody just went quiet. You're making me nervous. Where are we? Nowhere? Okay. Okay, so Humanity was saying he's nervous about relying 100% on apps, but I have not purchased a throttle yet. So that's cool. So, and you're using the Z21 app. Now this is funny. I cannot get the Z21 app to connect with my Digikais. I think it's because that Lens app is somehow attached to it. I've tried everything. I've got through all the instructions. I can't get it. I can't get any of the other apps to work with it. So I don't know what's going on with there. So I understand your fear with it. I will tell you right now, when you see this JMRI stuff that I'm doing, it's a bit to set up. It's a pain in the butt to do. But once you get onto it, I love it. I love it way more than the apps. And one thing I'll tell you about the apps, here's one thing. So let's say I have my phone here, right? I got my phone. When you open the other apps like Lens and RTI and stuff, let's say I want to grab engine number 1329. I got to program everything into it. You got to program every function, what it does, what it is, what its label is. You got to type it all in. It takes it forever. You got to go back to the instruction book, put it all in, remember what the function was. It's a nightmare. And now these days, you got like 20 functions. It takes forever. I had to do that on every tablet and phone for every engine. Horrible. JMRI, you put it in the roster. You could even put the photograph and everything of the engine if you want. I don't do that, but you can. You put it in there. Now I grab my phone, whatever tablet I'm using. Even you could come to my place with your phone. You log on to my JMRI, which is really simple. boom, you grab 1329, there it is. It's all laid out. Brakes, lights, cab lights, ditch lights, number boards, everything's all there. It's brilliant. It's amazing. So I am loving it. I've got it working too, that I've got my sound effects going with the fast clock. The fast clock also comes up on the phone, which I love because this is operations based. So you need the fast clock. So I do want to have a couple fast clocks around those ones. I forget what they're called. It runs with LocoNet anyways, Digitrax. And that's what's nice about this system. You can use different systems with it. So I've basically, long story short, I'm loving the JMRI. It's hard to use. It's a pain. You got to do a lot of reading. But it is great. Somebody, I think it was 8 Inked Rails, asked, is it 50s or 60s? It's late 50s Inked Rails. So it's basically 56, 57, 58. I'd really say 57. But there's a few things, like number 81, the one Mogul, it quit operating, I believe, early spring, late winter of 57, and I'm doing the fall of 57. But I still want to run 81. So that's why I said it's a prototypical railroad, but I keep it a little loose. I don't go too hardcore that way. I was still going to run number 86. It ran at that time. So basically trying to run engines that did run at that time. The switcher back here, the SW1200 RS, they didn't really start showing up until 58, even 59. There's another one in Elco. It was called an RSC-13, I believe, which is a cool engine. Correct me on that if I'm wrong, but it's basically an Elco RS1 with 6 axles. It's a pretty cool engine. I want to do a kit bash of one of those one of these days. And just one other thing you were saying there, Humanity. I don't know if you can see it back here, but I do have my old Lentz throttle. So I'm run. What's the Lentz network called? ExpressNet, says right on there. ExpressNet. So I've got an ExpressNet system running, and I'm also going to run a LocoNet system, which is Digitrax, for my fast clocks. I'm going to have a couple fast clocks. So that's what's really cool about this system. And you can get them on eBay for a decent price, but I shouted him out last night. Iron Planet Hobbies has decent prices and decent shipping, and he's in the States if you're here in North America. Kyle says that Wi-Fi stuff just confuses me. My friend runs his layout with Wi-Fi. Really fun though, but if something happens to Wi-Fi you can't run, that's why I'll stay with just ECC. And that's a good point, Kyle, to have the backup throttle. So I have this. Another one to look at, go on to that, if you haven't seen them already, Iron Planet Hobbies, Humanity. A throttle that I'm going to buy, I probably won't operate with it with much, but I just want to have it as a backup, is the Roku and Fleischmann. They're both basically the same company. It's called the Multi-Mouse. They are compatible with ExpressNet. So you can plug a Lentz throttle in there, you can plug a Roku or Fleischmann in there. They're a nice little throttle. And I'm gonna go with the tethered one. I've heard problems with the Wi-Fi one, so I'm just gonna stick with tethered, just to have it as a backup. Just like you said, if your system goes down or something, you can still run. Okay, Why Are You Naked said, is the RSC-13 of MLW or maybe a CN or CPU rebuild program? No, they were an MLW built engine. Now, they were rebuilt later on, and I forget what it was called. They took the trucks off them, and I believe there is some of the engines still around where those trucks are on the engine, but I can't remember what they're rebuilt into. But MLW did build them, and they were specifically made for branch lines. Now, if you ever want to get a rivet counter, if you ever want to do a little trivia, ask them about Ontario branch lines, and and then I knew this too, I always thought this, they never ran 6-axle diesels on the Ontario branch lines because they're too heavy. Well, when we're talking about 6-axle diesels, we're talking about the SDs and stuff like that, right? The big guys. But lo and behold, way back in the day, there was this engine, and it was a 6-axle diesel. And the idea was it had the 6 axles to disperse the weight because there's such light rail and such light bridges. These branch lines used a lot of hand-me-down stuff. There was, I forget what bridge it was, but I want to say Teeswater or something like that. But anyways, a number of the bridges were built from old bridges from Montreal and stuff like that. And it was really rickety old rail. So that's why they did that. Even the biggest steam that could go in there was a light Pacific. Nothing heavier than it was the 5500 class. I think that's what it was. Like the K class. The J class, I believe, is heavier. So none of those, all that and down. So that's why I'm scratch building the 10-wheelers, because there was a lot of 10-wheelers, moguls, and light Pacifics. Chris is saying he uses the Digitrax LNWI. I haven't had any major issues with it. Seems to work well. And yeah, I've heard nothing but great stuff with it, Chris. And the funny thing is with this system, I'm telling JMRI that that's what I'm using. So it's kind of funny. JMRI thinks I'm running Digitrax, but it's not. It's Digikai's. So it's kind of cool. So that's another part of it too. Digikai's, my Wi-Fi part of it is Digitrax too. So it's pretty cool stuff. It's a pretty amazing system. That's where my recommendation to somebody that's brand new would be the NCE Power Cab. And somebody just said, New Fair said, that I'm running is only on Power Cab. And that's the funny thing. And it's a hard decision because I almost went with the Power Cab because, I mean, it's not a huge layout and you can upgrade it and stuff. But where I got away from it was with the fast clock stuff. It wasn't compatible. Power Cab's the light version, right? Where it's actually in the unit, right? Randy has that too, I believe, RDNT. But the Power Cab, it had some limitations when it came to fast clock stuff. So I was then going to go to Digitrax because of the fast clock and all that. NCE is compatible with that one I was telling you about, but you need the more expensive system, a system that's about $500-600 to get into. So that's the thing. If you're going to expand and go bigger and do different things, that's why I went with this. I got this shipped from Germany for $230. Now there's a catch with that. There's no throttle, and that's something you got to think about. But you can use your phones. But like I said, the phones, unless you're running JMRI, I don't suggest it. It's good for 1 or 2 engines, but I don't know. It's up to you. But I do, somebody starting out, I think that NCE Power Cab is amazing. It's really awesome. That's what my original system, my original lens was. It was called the Set 2. It came out in the 90s. It was basically the same thing. You had to have the throttle plugged in because the throttle was the brain. Then you could expand onto it, but that's kind of how the Power Cab works, and it's a great system. Kyle Stevens says this is his channel user. Iron Planet Hobbies, yes. And on my shoutouts video last night, I shouted him out. I was saying on there too, I found him on eBay. He's got really good deals, good shipping. And another person too, I didn't see him on here, but it's Nate from Tyodotton. He's a Soundjacks dealer, and that was something I wanted to say sorry about because I ordered a WoW sound decoder. I'm sorry to Soundtracks because I'm a huge Soundtracks fan, and I feel horrible about it. But what happened was I couldn't find an Egonami, the same decoder I put in Wilmer's engine. I wanted an Egonami with just a hardwired one. They all have the stupid plug and play, and I can't find harnesses. The harnesses, by the time you buy a harness and do all that, you might as well buy the Tsunami 2. So a WoW Sound one came up for a good price, and so you know what? I'm gonna have a number of steam engines, so why not? Let's try it. So I heard from a few people, WoW Sound, there's problems with them, so we're gonna see what happens when I get it, if it works or not. I hope it does, so I don't want to deal with that. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for coming on out and joining me tonight. That actually went by really fast tonight. So thanks for joining me. Go ahead and promote your channels, any videos and stuff coming up. I'm going to leave the chat going. Before we leave, on a sad note, something I wanted to say. If anybody's watching, because there is a family from my area that's out there that was involved in this. I don't know if you guys know, especially down in my American friends and people from around the world. We had a tragedy in Nova Scotia last night. Or the night before, a shooting. It's one of the biggest massacres we've seen in Canada. A young female mounted police officer was shot and killed. I basically just wanted to say to all of the friends and family and relatives, I'm so sorry, and my condolences to you guys. My heart goes out to you. My thoughts and prayers go out to you. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. It's absolutely insane. It's crazy. And I'm saying this, guys, because I've been all over Canada for my old job. And I'm going to tell you right now, everybody on here from around the globe, from the States and from Australia and England, Eastern Canada, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, I've been there myself. It is the most amazing, beautiful place you'll ever go. It's the most amazing people in the world. You'll never meet nicer people in your life. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I swear to God, it's absolutely true. So I'm just absolutely devastated with this. So that's it. Anyways, guys, as always, happy model railroading. Stay creative. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.